Hi friends, I have such a cute little project to share with you. I have been having just the most fun making these. These are little mini albums, little accordion albums, and they're just so sweet. And I thought, you know what, I have to share this because you guys might like to make some of these for stocking stuffers or little gifts for co-workers or neighbors. There's all kinds of ideas. So this is just my prototype. So I will go ahead and open it up and just show you. So the insides have little flaps that you can decorate, journal. I have a couple of others that I will show you at the end. Yeah, lots of ideas with this. I love this, and it's got a little bell. Perfect for Christmas. But of course, you can decorate this with any kind of color scheme or designer series paper. It doesn't have to be Christmas, but it's December and Christmas is 13 days away. So my head is in total Christmas mode. So let me show you how easy it is to put these together. So I have my paper trimmer. I have a piece of real red cardstock. I have a piece of Night Before Christmas 6x6 designer series paper. This is what I'm going to show you how to cut out in a second. It's easy peasy. That's Old Olive. And then I have 4 pieces of Fairy Vanilla, and these are all cut to measure 1 3/4 by 6 1/2. All the measurements will be on my blog. Now I am going to cut this down along the 11-inch side at the 2-inch mark. So this measures 2 by 11. I'm going to put that aside. And while I have my trimmer out, I am going to go ahead and cut this down at the 3-inch mark. Spin it around, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces at 1 3/4. So these pieces both measure 1 3/4 by 3. Perfecto mando. So now I'm cutting this at 1 1/4. I'm going to put that aside, spin it around, and trim it down to 1 3/4. So this piece measures 1 1/4 by 1 3/4. This is going to be the little bit at the end that covers the binding. I'm going to go ahead and score each of these pieces of Fairy Vanilla at the 3 1/4 mark. I'm going to slide this real red cardstock back in. I'm going to open up the arm. And I'm going to line this up at the 4-inch mark and score. I'm going to slide over to the 4 1/2 and score. 5, score, 5 1/2, 6, 6 1/2, and 7. So you're going from 4 inches to 7 inches, and you're scoring on the half mark in between 4 and 7 all the way along. So now I'm taking my scalloped tag topper punch, and I'm punching each end of this real red cardstock. And now I'm just folding up Mountain Valley style on those crease marks. Give it a good burnish with my bone folder. Okay, and when you open it up, you want to have 3 mountains and valleys, and that's what we're going to stick these pieces in. Okay, I am going to go ahead and adhere my designer series paper to the front and the back. And I'm just making sure that I have equal distance around the designer series paper. So there's the front, not quite done. We're gonna set that aside. All right, it is time to decorate, and you can decorate these however you choose. So I'm gonna take my designer series paper again, line it up at the 1 3/4 inch. Then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to slide it over to the 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to cut out all the way across. I'm going to do is take my Snell adhesive and put a piece of the Designer Series paper right along the edge. Oops, that one's a little bit long. Let's just trim that off. And I'm also going to use the reverse side. So I'm going to do this for all of the pieces of Fairy Vanilla cardstock. So now that I have all of my little strips of Designer Series paper on, I am just folding each of these in half. And if you were to add photos, or if you wanted to stamp anything additionally on these, I recommend you do it before you adhere these into the book. So I'm going to start with the two that are going to go in the middle. So I'm taking my tear tape adhesive and I'm just putting a strip on each side of the crease mark. And you're only going to do this for the two middle pieces. So I'm going to remove the backing. Fold it in half. And these are the two middle folds. So I am just putting it right in the middle with the crease touching the crease of the fold, and I'm making sure that it's in the center on each side. And then I'm just going to fold this up and push down, and then that is how that goes in. Easy peasy. Do the same thing with this one. And another good way to do it too is just to line up these edges, just like that, and then fold it down. And then you know that you're getting them in there nice and center. So cool. Now for the last two, I am just going to put a strip of tear and tape adhesive on the front flap and on the back flap. So let's do the front one first. And I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm leaving a little bit on each side. Again, I'm just lining up with the other two pieces and crease to crease, push down onto that adhesive. And there is my first page. Let's do the last page. Putting that right on top of the previous ones, and you can see crease to crease, push down into that adhesive. And there's the back page. And that's how easy that is. So fun, so fun. Let's put our binding on. So along the 1 3/4 inch side, I am adding the tear and tape adhesive. And I'm only going to remove the backing on one of them. And I'm lining it up, just slightly overlapping onto that Designer Series paper that's on the front already, and pushing into that adhesive. Flip it over. Now we can remove this backing. See how easy this is? Oh my goodness, I love it. And you don't want to go super, super tight when you fold this over, because otherwise you're not going to give this any space that it needs to open. So again, I'm just folding it over and slightly overlapping onto that previous piece of Designer Series paper and pushing down. So you can see there's a little bit of a gap there. Now I already have this stamp mounted on a clear block. This is from The Greatest Part of Christmas. And I'm going to use that again. So I have Garden Green, Real Red, Cherry Cobbler, and Night of Navy. So I'm going to start with my Real Red, and I'm just going right on top of the image. Now you can see that this stamp is not clean, and that's because this is how I've already been stamping them, and I'm putting the colors in the same spots, so I'm not worrying too much about cleaning this. And my garden green. And lastly, Night of Navy. You want to make sure when you're using your markers direct to your stamps, you want to go more on the side as opposed to down on that tip, because you don't want to ruin that tip. That would be sad. And I can see I've missed a little bit on that edge. There we go. And stamp it down, and I'm holding it onto the paper for just a second because that gives the paper a chance to really absorb that ink. And look how pretty that is with all the different colors. Oh, I just love using my markers on my stamps. So I'm going to punch this out with my everyday label punch. Just center it and punch. Now, this is pretty much all that's left from my 6x6 piece of designer series paper. I actually want to use it. So what I want to do is flag each end. So I'm just stacking the two pieces together. And up the center, and then corner to the center. I'm going to take this piece and I'm just going to cut this in half. Okay. So I'm going to glue this one on first. And I'm just going to put it right across the center. Then I'm going to take this one and cut it in half. This one, cut it in half. You think I know what I'm doing, but I don't. I'm winging it, as I like to do. I just didn't want to waste those bits. So I'm going to stick one of the halves behind the tag. Just lining these pieces up at the top. Now I have some dimensionals here, so I'm going to put one on the back of those banners, and then top and bottom. See how it's going to look. That strip I put behind there, you can't even see it anymore, but that's okay. Sometimes we do things and we're not sure how they're going to end up until we're done, right? Alright, I'm going to make a bow. This was given to me a few years ago by a friend of mine, and I love it. And it's just a really neat way to make bows. So if you've never seen one of these, it's got pegs, and you just put them in depending on how big or how small you want your ribbon bow to be. So I'm wrapping my ribbon around, and I've got the longer tail over here. So this tail here is going to go underneath here. Okay, so that's underneath, and I'm holding this piece here while I bring this one up, and then this piece is going to go through this hole here. You might have to slow motion that bit of the video. And then I just make sure that this is in the center. Let me flip this around. Okay. And then I just pull the ends really tight. And then I have the most perfect bow in the world. So this is from my friend Barb. Thank you, Barb. I love this. I use it all the time. And now I'm just going to trim these ends a little bit. Now I wanted to use my garden green ribbon because I wanted a contrast from all the red on my book. And one of my viewers in a past video shared this wonderful tip of using the tear and tape versus the glue dots for putting our ribbon on, and I've been using her tip pretty much ever since. I think it's brilliant because it holds down not just the center but each side of the bow too. So I learned from you guys too, so thank you for those tips. All right, so I am just centering that right along, and I can see that this piece needs to be trimmed just a teeny little smidgen. Bring in my rhinestones. Put one there. Put one there. Now I am taking a glue dot and one of our little jingle bells. I'm using the Take Your Pick tool, and I'm picking up a glue dot, and I'm literally going to place it right on the center of that little hook at the end of the jingle bell, so the glue dot is folded over the top. And then I am going to stick it right in there, right in the middle of the bow. I'm just pushing that right into the center of the ribbon. And there's my bell. So now I'm taking my Sahara Sand and Night of Navy Baker's Twine. So I have two pieces. Taking the Terra tape again, and put one piece there. And one piece here. Now this bit that I'm doing is optional. What you could do is you could just thread the twine in and it would just come off as you opened it. But I want my twine to actually adhere. So I'm just putting that down onto that tape and then putting that through like that. Then I have a second piece. So I am going to cut at the 4 inches on both sides. I'll go ahead and do that and show you. So I'm just lining this up at the 4-inch mark, spinning this around, lining it up at the 4-inch mark. Let's make sure that fits. Yes, it does. So I'm going to add some snail mail. My back decorated. I'm going to do the same thing here. Then all you do is tie it into a bow. So sweet. So let me show you another one I did. So exactly the same way, I just decorated it a little bit differently, and I used different pattern designer series paper, and I haven't put anything on the inside yet. And this is using different designer series paper and early espresso background. And for this one, I just tied a piece of ribbon and just a little knot. And I actually just stamped the inside with the snow front. So my thoughts for this one was to cut out little quotes or little words into strips that I like and just glue them onto the inside. And I did all my stamping before I glued the pages inside the book. Don't you just love that snow front set? So that's going to be a fun one to finish. And then I did this one, also not finished, using the Pressed Petals Designer Series paper. This was actually my first one, but I just want to show you, I just stamped flowers on the inside. And I think it goes this way actually. Yes, there's the front page. So you could stamp sentiments, you can write little memories in there. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on how you can use this little mini album. So leave a comment below if you've got some great ideas. Really, these were so much fun. So here's one that I made for my sweetheart. I'm going to stick it inside his stocking this year, and it's memories from December 2018. So last year, and of course we're still making memories this year because we're still December, but I used the barn door stamp set and coordinating dies to make a little wreath and the bow. I added my bow here and a little bell, and then a little paper clip. So if you're like me, we have all kinds of fun things in our craft stash. So I just thought I'm going to use that. And I added the twine with the ribbon on each end. So just a little something different, but I like how the blue pulls out with the green at the ends. And then on the inside, I added photos. So instead of putting this on the outside, this, by the way, are old Project Life by Stampin' Up stamp sets, because I love to journal and scrapbook, so I hung on to those. So that's what that's from. So I put this on the inside, and again here you can see I used up some Scrap Designer Series paper. Oh, and I stapled these on. Radical, I know, radical. And then I used PicMonkey. Now I love PicMonkey. I use it for editing all of my photos, and I use it for printing photos and all kinds of different things. So you can use PicMonkey for free, or you can pay for a membership. Now I do pay for the yearly membership because I love it and I use it almost daily. So what I did is I just opened up a collage, and it was a box of a bunch of squares, and I just dragged and dropped the photos that I wanted, and then just print them and cut them up and stuck them on the inside of this album. And then you can see I used the strips of Designer Series paper. I also used the text inside PicMonkey to add them to the pictures. So these are just memories, like I said, of last December, and pictures of, our house decorated, and my honey's little granddaughter. I had a friend to make her a Raggedy Ann doll. So there she is getting her Raggedy Ann doll, because we all have to have a Raggedy Ann doll. And then, yeah, just little different memories and just fun things that happened last December. Different things that I made. And then, of course, my cat. Might be hard to tell on the camera, but he's lying upside down, spread-eagled, having a holiday nap. So that was really fun to make. So you can imagine, if you're a grandma, you can get pictures of your little grandbabies in there and make a little brag book and keep this in your purse so you can show off your grandbabies or even your kids to people. So many ideas for these little booklets. Friends, I really enjoy making these videos for you, so if you haven't already, please remember to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you're notified every time I upload a new video. And if you feel like watching another one of my videos right now, check this one out. Thanks, my friends. Have a great day and happy stamping.